Hello and welcome to another Inkscape for Teachers video. In this video I'll be showing you how you can create mathematical expressions with great control over the various aspects and placement of each part. I'll scroll down and we'll recreate something like this. The first thing is T for the text tool, and I'm going to just type X there, and that's it, back to the select tool. Now Control D to duplicate and Control drag. Control D, Control drag, Control D, Control drag, etc. Excuse me, Control D, I'll do one more. Back to the text tool, I'll italicize that, highlight and Control I. Might want a plus sign, Shift plus. Might want this to be 5x, so I'll put a 5 in front and italicize the X. Control I for that. Might have a minus sign, Control U for Unicode 2212 and enter for a minus sign, and let's put in a 7, say there. And the reason I did them as separate expressions, see that's separate, is that I have better control later on. It's a bit fiddly, but I think it's worth it. So I'll Control drag this across, Control drag, get the spacing pretty right, Control constrains to horizontal or vertical movement. If you Control click or Shift click on the signs, I think they're a bit high. That might look a bit better there, I think. But that's up to you. Anyway, there's an expression. Now, if I want to group that together, once I'm happy, Control G to group it, and I can move it around and it all stays together. If I want to get it something within the group, just Control click, and I can get that term and then text, change it to a 6 or whatever I want to do. But notice that it picks up the formatting of the italic X, so I might have to Control I to do that to get back. Anyway, Control Z to get back to the 5. T for the text tool, Control U 2212 and enter produces a minus sign, but I also use that as a vinculum for fractions. I can drag that out, can drag it around. Because it's a text object, when I format text or do anything, I can include the vinculum and it will be formatted as well. If I do it as a stroke, I'd have to shift click instead of click colours, and it's a bit fiddlier, so I find this a bit more useful. If I want a denominator, T for text, and let's say 3 this time, and I can click off and then drag that into approximate position, drag around the lot, line them up on a vertical axis, space things vertically, Control G to group when I'm happy. Now the square root sign, this is an interesting one. T for text, Control U to activate Unicode, and for a square root sign, 221A and enter. But it hasn't got the little bar. Now I've discovered by accident if I change the font to sans serif, got a little bar there. I zoom in, see just the starting, but that's all I need. If I go path, convert that object to path, N for the node tool, and then click on it, I can then manipulate these nodes, drag around them and Control drag however long I need it. I'll just get it into better position so that I can estimate that better. Maybe something like that. N for the node tool, just these two on the end, Control drag, let's say to there. But of course, it might be okay there, but it needs to have a longer section here. So what I can do, now bear with me, I'm going to put in a guide. If I drag from any ruler, this one's a vertical one but it doesn't matter, then double click that guide, and I'm going to change the angle of that guide to 69.7 degrees. Okay, and that matches the slope of this square root sign sloping section. You can see it's locked on. Now if I click this again, the square root sign, and then N for node tool and click it, it's really these bottom bits that I want to drag down. Just pick any one down here, and you can see if I go like that it wrecks the square root sign, or the width isn't uniform. That's why I've got this guide, and I'm snapping to it. You can see the dotted line. Yes, snap, that seems about right. And I've got this snap to cusp nodes turned on. You might need snap to paths as well, that's that one, but that worked pretty well. Back to the select tool, and I can drag that guide back off, and that's how I've got a perfect square root sign. Bit fiddly, But look, once you've got a few of these, you can keep a document or create a template and open up Inkscape, and you've always got it available. Okay, for an integral sign, T for text tool, click Control U, and it's 222B, and enter, I think. Yep. Click on that. Control Shift to drag it uniformly. Say something like that. You might think, gee, that's a bit chunky, but by the time you zoom back to normal size, that looks okay. And the DX, T for text tool, click DX, make it italic. Sometimes you don't have to select the text and it just affects all the text in the text box. And let's say I want to do x equals 0 to pi or something as the limit, so T for text, X, click away. I could do it all in one line, but I have better control with elements done separately. Click here, Control U, 0, 3C0, enter for pi. I'll just italicize that while I've got the text tool active, Control I, and I'll line these up. If you want to really zoom in, you can, and there's the pi, something like that. If you want it on the same level, you want to be really fussy, shift click, align the text there, and make a group, Control G to group. But of course, if you go to put this here, it looks pretty big, the limit of an integral, so you can Control Shift drag it down to something that suits. I'll put it there, Control D, drag that one up there, maybe move it across, make this one 0, I can edit that, make it a 0, it looks a bit higher than 0, so I can just Control drag it down a bit if I want, Final Control, and there we have it. One thing I have up here I think is brackets that I didn't have before. I'll show you that. Let's just start to group a few things. This square root section I might group. Control G, shift click the DX, and I'll just move the whole lot along, actually just the DX separately. Now bracket, T for text tool, and just type a bracket, select tool. This is very handy, you can do any bracket size. I'll shift to drag it about at centre. Control D to duplicate, and Control drag down here, reflected in a vertical axis. That looks pretty good, and you can see I've got a similar sort of expression. So there's how I built up that expression, just a few tricks. It might seem, you know, quite slow and laborious, but you do get quick at it, and the trade-off is that you have full control. You can edit things. For example, if I didn't want this term up here, and I don't want to go ungroup, I can just Control click and get rid of that bit. Maybe Control click that. Control and Shift to select more than one. Control drag over there. Control drag that to there. Control click, drag that to there perhaps. Click on that, N for node tool, and drag them back to there. Drag those around those and back to here, so you can edit things quite nicely. As I say, full control within Inkscape. A bit slow, but you get quicker at it. And once you have a few square root signs and things, you can copy them from other documents or keep a master document of symbols that you use a lot. Just noticed that I forgot the squared on the X. I'll show you how I can put that in. Click in there and put a 2, but I'll have to unitalicize it, Control I. With it highlighted, I can press this symbol up here for power. Now you can see that all looks a little bit crowded. This is why I did things separately. If I Control click on that and Shift Control click and just drag that a bit further away, and I can increase things. Control clicking just picks one element within a group. Even this square root sign now, N for node tool, I need to lift that. Look, without the guide I can just do it a little bit, and you can be pretty right. You won't pick any error up there. And there we have it. So this button up here, I've got to be in a text box, for powers is quite handy. You can do the same sort of thing for superscript. If you wanted to click there and say X1 and highlight, Control I to make it not italic, and subscript, you can do things like that. And I can Control click these and just move them away a bit if I need to. So I thought I'd better add that in. Thanks for that. Hope that's of use to you, and if you have any questions, get in touch. Bye for now.